Bucketsville, Maryland. A place that, on the surface, looks like any other sleepy American town. Quiet streets, small churches, picket fences, and an air of tranquility that blankets the region like early morning fog. But hidden beneath the gentle hum of rural life is a shadow that refuses to lift, a legend that has gripped the imaginations and fears of generations. The legend of the Blair Witch. The story begins long before the name Bucketsville ever existed. Back in the 1700s, this region was known as Blair. It was a modest settlement, built at the edge of the vast and wild Black Hills forest, a place the locals quickly learned to fear. In 1785, a woman named Ellie Kedward was accused of witchcraft. The townspeople claimed she had been luring children into her home and drawing their blood for rituals. She was banished in the dead of winter, tied to a cart, and left deep in the woods to die. No one expected her to survive. Most assumed she perished in the cold. But what followed was far more unsettling. Within months, those who had accused Ellie began to disappear. First the children, then their parents. People whispered that the forest had turned against them. By the following year, the entire town of Blair was abandoned. Every man, woman, and child vanished, leaving behind only ruins and questions. The few who dared return said they felt watched, and those who entered the woods often never came back. Decades later, in 1824, a new town was founded nearby, Bucketsville. But the stories of Blair never truly died. Strange symbols carved into trees, bundles of sticks tied in impossible knots, and the cries of children heard echoing through the forest at night, the legend persisted. Generations passed it down as cautionary tales. But in the quiet corners of Bucketsville, some still believed. One of the most chilling events came in 1886, when a young girl named Eileen Treacle drowned in Tappy East Creek while her mother watched helplessly. Witnesses claimed a pale hand had reached from beneath the water and pulled her under. Her body was never recovered. For days afterward, the creek remained eerily still. No birds, no fish. Then came the symbols. Stick figures in trees, animal carcasses arranged in strange patterns, and whispers in the dark, but perhaps the most terrifying chapter came in the 1940s. A local hermit named Rustin Parr lived alone in a cabin deep within the Black Hills forest. In 1941, he walked into town and uttered a single sentence, "I'm finally finished." What followed stunned the community. Authorities discovered the remains of 7 missing children buried near Parr's home. He had murdered them, one by one, over the course of several months. His confession was chilling. He said he had been visited by a woman in the woods, a spirit who told him what to do. She watched from the shadows, guided his hand, and demanded obedience. During his trial, Parr was emotionless. He spoke of the voice as if she were real. As if she were still with him. He was executed by hanging, but even his death did not end the fear. The story faded into local legend once again. That is, until 1994. Student filmmakers, Heather Donahue, Joshua Leonard, and Michael Williams, arrived in Bucketsville to shoot a documentary about the Blair Witch. They interviewed locals, explored the town, and then entered the Black Hills forest. They were never seen again. 1 year later, their footage was found buried beneath an old house foundation. What it revealed shocked the world. The tapes documented a descent into paranoia, fear, and something darker, something unseen. At night, the trio heard branches snapping, whispers, the sound of something circling their tent. They found bizarre artifacts, stones stacked in circles, dolls made of sticks, and most famously, the eerie stick figures hanging from the trees. Their mental states deteriorated. They fought, cried, and became increasingly lost. By the end, Heather's voice trembled with fear as she whispered her last words into the camera. The final frame showed Michael, standing silently in the corner of a decaying basement, just as Parr's victims had before their deaths. The Blair Witch Project, released in 1999, blurred the line between fiction and reality so well that many believed it was real. Its viral marketing campaign claimed the footage was authentic, and for a while, it worked. People scoured the internet for answers. Tourists flocked to Bucketsville. But eventually, the truth emerged: it was a film. A brilliant, low-budget psychological horror. And yet, the story didn't end there. Because behind the fictional script, behind the clever promotion, there still remained a chilling truth: the legends of Blair had existed long before Hollywood. The woods were still there. The disappearances, still real. And the fear? Very much alive. Psychologists debated what happened to Heather, Josh, and Mike. If the legend wasn't true, had they simply lost their minds? Shared psychosis? Hallucinations from stress, hunger, sleep deprivation? Or had they stumbled upon something no one was meant to see? Something older than the town, older than the country itself. Some say the Blair Witch is not a person or ghost, but a force, a distortion of reality that feeds on fear. It isolates you, manipulates your senses, turns you against your friends. It never shows itself, yet its presence is suffocating. In the years following the film, other incidents surfaced. Hikers who vanished without a trace. Tourists who returned from the woods with no memory of their time there. Paranormal investigators who swore they had audio recordings of a woman whispering their names, when no one else was around. Even now, there are people who refuse to enter the Black Hills after dark. Locals still tell stories. And whether you believe in the witch or not, one thing remains undeniable: something about those woods is wrong. The air is heavier. The silence, unnatural. People speak in hushed tones when they talk about Blair. Because they know, deep down, that something happened there. And maybe, it's still happening. Some claim the witch is Ellie Kedward's vengeful spirit. Others think she never existed at all. But what's more terrifying is the possibility that the legend created her, that the collective belief gave shape to something intangible, something that feeds off human emotion. In that sense, the Blair Witch isn't just a ghost story. It's a mirror. It reflects our deepest fears, of being alone, of being hunted, of losing control. It doesn't need to show its face. It only needs to be felt, and those who felt it, they don't forget.